Life is waiting for you. Right now, in this very moment, opportunities are knocking at your door. But are you ready to answer? Or are you lost in the maze of your own thoughts, trapped by the endless cycle of what ifs and maybes? It's time to break free. It's time to stop overthinking and start living. You see, overthinking is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. It's a habit that keeps you stuck, paralyzed by indecision and fear. But here's the truth. Life isn't meant to be figured out. It's meant to be lived. Think about it. When was the last time you truly lived in the moment? When did you last take a chance without analyzing every possible outcome? If you're like most people, it's been far too long. We've become a society of overthinkers, constantly second-guessing ourselves and missing out on the beauty of life as it unfolds. But it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to change. You have the ability to silence that critical voice in your head and embrace the present moment. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Breaking free from the habit of overthinking is a challenge. But it's a challenge worth taking on. Because on the other side of that challenge is a life filled with joy, purpose, and authentic experience. Let's start with a simple truth. Your thoughts create your reality. What you focus on expands. If you're constantly dwelling on problems, worries, and worst-case scenarios, that's what you'll see in your life. But if you shift your focus to possibilities, solutions, and positive outcomes, your world will transform. This isn't just feel-good talk. It's backed by science. Our brains are wired to look for evidence that supports our beliefs. It's called confirmation bias. So when you believe life is hard and full of obstacles, guess what? You'll find plenty of evidence to support that belief. But when you believe life is full of opportunities and joy, you'll start noticing all the good things around you. The key is to become aware of your thoughts. Most of us go through life on autopilot, letting our minds run wild with worry and speculation. But you have the power to choose your thoughts. You can decide what you want to focus on. Start by paying attention to your inner dialogue. What are you telling yourself throughout the day? Are you constantly criticizing yourself? Are you always anticipating the worst? If so, it's time to change the script. Remember, you're not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You have the ability to step back and say, is this thought serving me? Is it helping me live a better life? If the answer is no, let it go. This might sound simple, but it's a powerful practice. By becoming aware of your thoughts, you're taking the first step towards breaking free from the overthinking trap. Now let's talk about action, because awareness alone isn't enough. You need to couple that awareness with action. Overthinking often leads to paralysis. We get so caught up in trying to make the perfect decision that we end up making no decision at all. There's no perfect decision. There's only a decision you make and what you do with it. Life is not about making the right choice every time. It's about making a choice and then making it right. So how do we move from overthinking to action? It starts with trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the universe. Trust that whatever happens, you have the strength and resilience to handle it. When you trust, you let go of the need to control everything. You release the illusion that you can predict and plan for every possible outcome. Instead, you open yourself up to the flow of life. This doesn't mean you become reckless or irresponsible. It means you make decisions based on your values and intuition rather than fear and endless analysis. Think about the times in your life when things worked out, even when you didn't have everything figured out. Chances are those were the times when you took a leap of faith, when you trusted your gut and moved forward despite your doubts. That's the kind of energy we want to bring into our lives every day. The energy of trust, of forward motion, of living rather than just thinking about living. So I want you to make a commitment to yourself right now. Commit to taking action even when you don't have all the answers. Commit to trusting yourself in the process of life. Start small if you need to. Maybe it's making a decision in 5 minutes that you would normally agonize over for days. Maybe it's saying yes to an opportunity that scares you a little. Whatever it is, take that step. And you start taking action, you create momentum. Each step forward builds your confidence. Each decision you make strengthens your trust in yourself. It's a positive cycle that propels you forward. Now let's address one of the biggest obstacles to living in the present moment, a fear of making mistakes. So many of us are paralyzed by the thought of getting it wrong. We overthink because we're trying to protect ourselves from failure or disappointment. The perspective shift for you, that no mistakes, only lessons. Every experience, whether you label it as good or bad, is an opportunity for growth. When you embrace this mindset, you free yourself from the paralysis of perfectionism. Think about it. Some of the greatest inventions and discoveries in history came from what we might call mistakes. Penicillin, X-rays, even chocolate chip cookies were all the result of things not going according to plan. So instead of fearing mistakes, welcome them. See them as stepping stones on your path to success and fulfillment. When you reframe mistakes as learning opportunities, you take away their power to hold you back. This doesn't mean you shouldn't plan or consider consequences. It means you shouldn't let the fear of making a mistake keep you from living your life fully. It means understanding that even if things don't go as planned, you'll be okay. You'll learn, you'll grow, and you'll move forward. Remember, life is not about avoiding risks. It's about taking calculated risks that align with your values and goals. It's about stretching yourself beyond your comfort zone, because that's where growth happens. So I challenge you to do something that scares you a little every day. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting when you usually stay quiet. Maybe it's trying a new hobby you've always been curious about. Whatever it is, push yourself to take that step. As you do this, you'll notice something incredible happening. Your confidence will grow, your resilience will strengthen, and most importantly, you'll start experiencing life rather than just thinking about it. Now let's talk about the power of the present moment. Overthinking often pulls us out of the here and now. We get lost in regrets about the past or worries about the future. But life only happens in the present. The present moment is where your power lies. It's where you can make choices, take action, and create change. When you're fully present, you're not overthinking. You're experiencing. So how do we cultivate presence? It starts with mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply the practice of being aware of the present moment without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without... One simple way to practice mindfulness is through your breath. Take a moment right now to focus on your breathing. Notice the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. When your mind wanders and it will, gently bring your attention back to your breath. This simple practice can be a powerful tool in breaking the overthinking habit. When you find yourself spiraling into worry or analysis, use your breath as an anchor to bring you back to the present moment. Another powerful practice is gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what could go wrong to what's right in your life right now. It's impossible to overthink and be grateful at the same time. So, make gratitude a daily practice. Each day, take a few moments to appreciate the good things in your life. They don't have to be big things. It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a smile from a stranger, or the feeling of the sun on your face. As you cultivate gratitude, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. You'll start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You'll find joy in simple moments, and you'll be less likely to get caught in the overthinking trap. Now let's address another common cause of overthinking. The need for control. Many of us overthink because we're trying to control outcomes. We believe that if we just think about something long enough, we can figure out the perfect solution or predict every... But here's the truth. Control is an illusion. The only thing we truly have control over is our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else is subject to change. Accepting this can be liberating. When you release the need to control everything, you open yourself up to the flow of life. You become more adaptable, more resilient, and more able to enjoy the journey. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you focus your energy on what you can control, your own choices and actions, and let go of the rest. It means trusting in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. So, the next time you find yourself overthinking a situation, ask yourself, what aspect of this can I control? Focus your energy there and practice letting go of the rest. Now let's talk about the power of decisions. Overthinking often stems from indecision. We get caught in the loop of weighing pros and cons, considering every possible outcome, and second-guessing ourselves. But here's a powerful truth. A good decision now is better than a perfect decision later. Why? Because when you make a decision, you set things in motion. You create momentum. You learn and grow from the results of that decision. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed because you were stuck in analysis paralysis? How much time and energy have you wasted trying to make the perfect choice? The most successful people in the world are not necessarily those who make the best decisions all the time. They're the ones who make decisions quickly and then adjust course as needed. So I challenge you to become a decisive person. When faced with a choice, give yourself a reasonable amount of time to consider your options, then make a decision and move forward. Trust that whatever the outcome, you have the ability to handle it and learn from it. This doesn't mean you should be reckless. It means you should trust your intuition and your ability to adapt. It means understanding that taking action, even if it's not perfect, is usually better than staying stuck in indecision. As you practice this, you'll find that decision-making becomes easier. You'll build confidence in your ability to choose and to handle the consequences of your choices. And most importantly, you'll start living rather than just thinking about living. Now let's address one of the biggest enemies of present moment living, regret. Regret is a form of overthinking that keeps us stuck in the past. It's the what if and if only thoughts that plague our minds and prevent us from fully embracing the present. And there's the truth, no, purpose other than to keep you stuck. You cannot change the past. No amount of thinking or wishing will alter what has already happened. The only thing you can change is how you respond to it in the present moment. So how do we let go of regret? It starts with forgiveness. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made. Forgive others who may have hurt you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone what happened. It means you're choosing to release the emotional burden and move forward. Remember, at any given moment, you were doing the best you could with the knowledge, awareness, and resources you had at that time. Even if you would make a different choice now, that doesn't invalidate the choice you made then. Instead of dwelling on regrets, focus on the lessons. What did you learn from that experience? How has it shaped you into who you are today? How can you use that knowledge to make better choices moving forward? When you reframe your past experiences as valuable lessons rather than regrettable mistakes, you free yourself to fully engage with the present moment. You stop overthinking about what could have been and start focusing on what can be. Now let's talk about a powerful antidote to overthinking: action. When we're caught in the overthinking trap, we often forget that the best way to gain clarity is through action. We think we need to figure everything out in our heads before we can move forward. But the opposite is often true. Action brings clarity. When you take action, you gather real-world data. You get feedback. You learn things that no amount of thinking could have revealed. And most importantly, you build momentum. Think about a time when you were stuck on a problem. You thought and thought about it, but couldn't find a solution. Then when you finally took some action, any action, suddenly things started to become clear. That's the power of action. If you find yourself overthinking a situation, ask yourself, what's one small action I can take right now? It doesn't have to be the perfect action. It doesn't have to solve everything. It just needs to be a step forward. Maybe it's making a phone call you've been putting off. Maybe it's writing the first paragraph of that report you've been overthinking. Maybe it's having that conversation you've been rehearsing in your head. Whatever it is, take that step. As you do this, you'll notice something incredible happening. The fog of overthinking will start to lift. You'll gain clarity and confidence. And most importantly, you'll start making progress. Remember, life is not about thinking. It's about experiencing. It's about doing. It's about living. So commit to being a person of action. Commit to moving forward even when you don't have all the answers. Now let's address another common cause of overthinking. Comparison. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easy to fall into the trap of constantly comparing ourselves to others. We see carefully curated highlights of other people's lives on social media and think we're falling behind. But here's the truth. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you're constantly measuring yourself against others, you're not living your life. You're living in reaction to someone else's life. Remember, you're on your own unique journey. Your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. What matters is that you're moving forward, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself. So instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you becoming a better version of yourself? These are the questions that matter. When you shift your focus from external comparison to internal growth, you free yourself from a major source of overthinking. You stop worrying about whether you're keeping up and start focusing on your own progress and fulfillment. Now let's talk about the power of acceptance. Many of us overthink because we're resisting what is. We're fighting against reality, wishing things were different, or trying to force outcomes that aren't meant to be. Acceptance is not resignation. It's not giving up. It's simply acknowledging reality as it is right now. And from that place of acceptance, you can choose how to respond. When you accept what is, you stop wasting energy fighting against reality. You stop overthinking about how things should be and start dealing with how they actually are. This frees up your mental and emotional energy to take constructive action. So practice acceptance. When you find yourself resisting a situation, take a deep breath and say to yourself, it is what it is. Then from that place of acceptance, ask yourself, what's the best way to respond to this situation? This simple shift can be incredibly powerful. It moves you from a place of frustration and overthinking to a place of clarity and action. It allows you to respond to life rather than react to it. Now let's talk about the importance of self-care in breaking the overthinking habit. Often, we overthink because we're stressed, tired, or overwhelmed. When we're not taking care of ourselves, our minds become more susceptible to worry and rumination. Self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. It's about maintaining your physical, mental, and emotional health so you can show up fully in your life. When you're well-rested, well-nourished, and emotionally balanced, you're better equipped to handle challenges without falling into the overthinking trap. So make self-care a priority. This includes basics like getting enough sleep, eating nutritious food, and exercising regularly, but it also includes activities that nourish your soul, things that bring you joy, peace, and a sense of fulfillment. Maybe it's spending time in nature. Maybe it's practicing a hobby you love. Maybe it's connecting with loved ones. Whatever it is for you, make time for it. Treat it as non-negotiable, just like you would any other important commitment. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. By taking care of yourself, you're not just benefiting yourself. You're benefiting everyone around you. You're showing up as the best version of yourself, ready to engage fully with life instead of getting lost in overthinking. Well, let's address a major source of overthinking, the fear of the unknown. Many of us overthink because we're trying to predict and control the future. We believe that if we think about every possible scenario, we'll somehow be prepared for whatever comes our way. But here's the truth: is inherently uncertain. No amount of thinking or planning can fully prepare you for what's to come. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's exciting. The unknown is where possibility lives. It's where growth happens. It's where life's most beautiful surprises unfold. When you embrace the unknown, you open yourself up to a world of opportunities that your overthinking mind could never have imagined. So how do we make peace with the unknown? It starts with trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Trust that, even if things don't go as planned, you'll find a way to make it work. Remember, you faced unknowns before. Think about all the times in your life when you stepped into uncertainty and came out stronger on the other side. Those experiences have built resilience in you. They've proven that you're capable of handling more than you might think. Instead of fearing the unknown, try to cultivate a sense of curiosity about it. What might you learn? How might you grow? What amazing experiences might be waiting for you just beyond your comfort zone? When you approach the unknown with curiosity rather than fear, you shift from overthinking to openness. You become more adaptable, more resilient, and more able to flow with life rather than resist it. Now, let's talk about the power of perspective. Often, we overthink because we're stuck in a narrow view of our situation. We can't see the forest for the trees, as the saying goes. But what if you could zoom out? What if you could look at your current situation from a broader perspective? How might that change your thinking? Try this exercise. Imagine yourself 5 years from now looking back on this moment. How significant will your current worries seem from that vantage point? What advice would your future self give to your present self? This kind of perspective shift can be incredibly powerful. It can help you see what truly matters and what's just temporary noise. It can help you make decisions based on your long-term values rather than short-term fears. Another powerful perspective shift is to consider how you'd advise a friend in your situation. Often, we're much wiser and more compassionate when it comes to other people's problems than we are with our own. By imagining you're giving advice to a friend, you can tap into that wisdom and apply it to your own life. Remember, your perspective shapes your reality. By consciously choosing to view your situation from different angles, you can break free from the tunnel vision of overthinking and gain new insights and solutions. Now, let's address another common cause of overthink: perfectionism. Many of us get caught in the trap of trying to do everything perfectly. We believe that if we just think about something long enough, we'll figure out the perfect solution. Perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target that you can never quite reach, and the pursuit of perfection often leads to paralysis. You become so focused on getting everything right that you never actually take action. Instead of striving for perfection, aim for progress. Embrace the concept of good enough. This doesn't mean settling for mediocrity. It means recognizing when something is sufficient to move forward, even if it's not flawless. Remember, done is better than perfect. A completed project that's 80 perfect will have far more impact than a project that's 100 perfect but never sees the light of day. This shift from perfectionism to progress can be incredibly liberating. It frees you from the overthinking trap and allows you to actually create, achieve, and experience life rather than just thinking about it. Now, let's talk about the power of letting go. Many of us overthink because we're holding on to things we can't control. We ruminate over past events, worry about future outcomes, or try to manage other people's thoughts and actions. But here's a liberating truth. The only thing you truly have control over is yourself. Your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions, everything else is outside of your control. Accepting this can be challenging, but it's also incredibly freeing. And when you let go of trying to control the uncontrollable, you free up enormous amounts of mental and emotional energy. You stop overthinking about things you can't change and start focusing on what you can actually influence. So, practice letting go. When you catch yourself overthinking about something outside your control, take a deep breath and consciously release it. Say to yourself, this is not mine to control, and redirect your energy to something you can influence. This doesn't mean becoming passive or apathetic. It means focusing your energy where it can have the most impact on your own choices and actions. It means trusting in your ability to respond to whatever life brings rather than try. Now let's address a major source of overthink: the fear of failure. Many of us get caught in endless loops of analysis because we're afraid of making a mistake or falling short of our goals. But here's the truth. Not the opposite of success is part of success. Every great achievement, every innovation, every personal growth story includes moments of failure. The most successful people in the world are not those who never fail, but those who fail forward, who learn, adapt, and keep moving. So, instead of fearing failure, try to reframe it. See it as feedback, as a stepping stone, as a necessary part of the learning process. When you embrace this mindset, you free yourself from the paralysis of overthinking and become more willing to take action even when the outcome is uncertain. Remember, the only real failure is not trying. As long as you're learning and growing, you haven't failed. You've simply found a way that doesn't work, which puts you one step closer to finding a way that does. Now let's talk about the power of presence. Overthinking often pulls us out of the present moment, We get lost in regrets about the past or worries about the future, missing the life that's happening right in front of us. But the present moment is where your power lies, is where you can make choices, take action, and create change. It's where life actually happens. So, how do we cultivate presence? One powerful practice is mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply the act of being fully aware of the present moment without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. You can practice mindfulness in any moment. Right now, for instance, take a deep breath and notice the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. Notice the feeling of your feet on the ground, the sounds around you, the thoughts passing through your mind. This is mindfulness. As you practice mindfulness, you'll find that it becomes easier to catch yourself when you start overthinking. You'll be able to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them and consciously choose to return to the present moment. Another powerful practice for cultivating presence is gratitude. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you naturally bring your attention to the present moment. You stop overthinking about what could be or what should be and start appreciating what is. So make gratitude a daily practice. Each day, take a few moments to appreciate the good things in your life. They don't have to be big things. It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or the feeling of the sun on your face. As you cultivate gratitude, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. You'll start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You'll find joy in simple moments, and you'll be less likely to get caught in the overthinking trap. Now let's talk about the power of purpose. Often, we overthink because we've lost sight of what truly matters to us. We get caught up in the details and forget about the bigger picture. But when you have a clear sense of purpose, when you know why you're doing what you're doing, it becomes much easier to make decisions and take action. Your purpose acts as a compass guiding you through the fog of overthinking. So take some time to reflect on your purpose. What truly matters to you? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? What brings you a sense of meaning and fulfillment? Once you've clarified your purpose, use it as a filter for your thoughts and actions. When you find yourself overthinking, ask yourself, is this aligned with my purpose? Is this bringing me closer to what truly matters? This simple practice can be incredibly powerful. It helps you cut through the noise of overthinking and focus on what's truly important. It gives you a reason to move forward even when the path isn't clear. Remember, your purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It can be as simple as being a loving parent, creating beauty through your work, or making a positive difference in your community. What matters is that it resonates with you and gives your life a sense of meaning and direction. Let's address another common cause of overthink: the need for certainty. Many of us overthink because we're trying to create a sense of certainty in an inherently uncertain world. We believe that if we just think about something long enough, we'll be able to predict and control the outcome. But here's the truth: it is an illusion. Life is inherently unpredictable and constantly changing. And that's not something to fear, it's something to embrace. When you let go of the need for certainty, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. You become more adaptable, more resilient, and more able to flow with life rather than resist it. This doesn't mean you become reckless or stop planning altogether. It means you plan with flexibility. You set goals and work towards them, but you remain open to unexpected opportunities and detours along the way. Remember, some of life's most beautiful moments come from unexpected turns. The job you didn't think you wanted that turned into a fulfilling career. The person you met by chance who became a dear friend. The setback that led to a breakthrough. When you're open to uncertainty, you're open to these kinds of serendipitous experiences. So practice embracing uncertainty. When you find yourself overthinking in an attempt to create certainty, remind yourself that it's okay not to know. It's okay to take a step without seeing the entire path. Trust in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Now let's talk about the power of self-compassion. Often, we overthink because we're being too hard on ourselves. We criticize our decisions, doubt our abilities, and hold ourselves to impossibly high standards. But here's the truth. You are doing the best you can with the knowledge and resources you have right now, and that's enough. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a good friend. It's about recognizing that everyone struggles sometimes, and that's a normal part of the human experience. So practice self-compassion. When you catch yourself overthinking or being self-critical, pause and ask yourself, how would I talk to a friend in this situation? Then offer yourself that same kindness and understanding. Remember, being compassionate with yourself doesn't mean making excuses or avoiding responsibility. It means acknowledging your humanity, learning from your experiences, and moving forward with kindness and understanding. As you cultivate self-compassion, you'll find that it becomes easier to break free from the overthinking trap. You'll be more willing to take risks, to learn from your mistakes, and to keep moving forward even when things don't go as planned. Now let's address one final aspect of overthink, the belief that overthinking is helpful. Many of us have been taught that careful consideration and analysis are always good things, and to some extent, thoughtful reflection can be valuable. But there's a point where reflection turns into rumination, where analysis becomes paralysis, and that's where overthinking becomes harmful rather than helpful. Remember, thinking is a tool. Like any tool, it's useful for certain tasks, but not for others. You wouldn't use a hammer to paint a wall, and you shouldn't use overthinking to solve every problem in your life. So start to notice when your thinking is productive and when it's not. When you find yourself going over the same thoughts again and again without gaining new insights or moving closer to a solution, that's a sign that you're overthinking. In those moments, the most helpful thing you can do is to shift from thinking to doing. Take some kind of action, no matter how small. Make a decision, have a conversation, try something new. Action breaks the cycle of overthinking and moves you forward. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this final thought. Life is not meant to be figured out. It's meant to be lived. It's meant to be experienced with all its joys and sorrows, its triumphs and challenges, its certainties and uncertainties. You are not here to perfect yourself or to live a life free of mistakes. You are here to grow, to learn, to love, to create, to contribute. And none of that happens when you're stuck in your head, overthinking every decision and second-guessing every move. So I challenge you to make a commitment to yourself right now. Commit to living more and thinking less. Commit to taking action, even when you're not sure of the outcome. Commit to trusting yourself and the process of life. Remember, every moment you spend overthinking is a moment you're not fully living. Every opportunity you miss because you're stuck in analysis paralysis is an experience you'll never have, a memory you'll never make, a life you'll never live. But it doesn't have to be that way. You have the power to break free from the overthinking trap. You have the ability to live fully, to engage deeply, to experience life in all its richness and complexity. It won't always be easy. There will be times when you slip back into old patterns of overthinking. But each time you catch yourself, each time you choose action over analysis, presence over perfectionism, you're building a new habit. You're creating a new way of being in the world. And as you do this, you'll notice something incredible happening. You'll start to feel more alive, more engaged, more at peace. You'll start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You'll start to experience the joy and fulfillment that come from living life, not just thinking about it. So go forth and live. Take that step you've been overthinking. Have that conversation you've been rehearsing in your head. Make that decision you've been agonizing over. Trust yourself. Remember, the purpose of life is not to arrive safely at death having perfectly predicted and controlled every moment along the way. The purpose of life is to live, to grow, to give, to love, to make a difference in whatever way you have everything you need within you to do this. You have the wisdom, the strength, the resilience. All you need to do is trust it, access it, and act on it. So stop overthinking and start living. Your life, your one precious, beautiful, unrepeatable life, is waiting for you. It's time to show up for it, fully and wholeheartedly. Thank you for your time and attention. Now go out there and live the life you've been thinking about. The world is waiting for your unique gifts, your unique voice, your unique contribution. Don't keep it waiting any longer. Your time is now. Live it fully, live it deeply, live it without overthinking. Just live.